There's a few things you're going to need. The main thing that you're going to need is the clay. But before we start, I always like to look at the piece for a moment and see if I can see anything in it. It's a good practice to get you used to looking at objects and see something in them that is not expected to be there. For example, right here, I see basically a little lion face that it looks like to me. That's his nose, his mouth, the snoot part of his face, his eye, his ear, and his mane coming down here. And all that is that clay was formed just by my handling it. Here, right here, I see, I don't know what made this little mark here, but it looks like the ears of a bunny rabbit. And this is his face. And this is his whisker area. Can you see anything in this face? In this piece of clay here? Can you see anything? Okay. Well, I hope you do. Why don't you send me something in the comment section and tell me what you see. Okay. We're going to need some self-hardening clay. I have used for years, I've used Mexican clay, Marblex I've used. Self-hardening clay is the best thing. It is what it sounds. It gets hard when it dries. It's water-based clay. And I will put some information about the types of clays I recommend on the information portion of this video. And also, before you buy it, you want to open it up and open up the container, it'll be wrapped in plastic more than likely. Just give it a good squeeze or a push on it and make sure it's nice and pliable like this. If it's hard and you can't do this with it in the package, don't buy it. Get yourself another box. Pardon my band-aid. I cut my thumb the other day, and that's why I have a band-aid on. That's most reason why people have a band-aid, but sometimes teachers like me will surprise you with something, and there will be no surprise other than the fact that this band-aid will be in my way more than likely when I'm doing this today. You also need a piece of wood to work on. If you wet the wood prior to your starting the sculptor like that, if you wet it with your sprayer, it will stick to the board a lot better. We will need a water sprayer that does misting. It has a misting setting. You can open and close the setting here. If you open it all the way, it will shoot a stream like that. If you close it most of the way, it'll shoot a stream, a mist. And we also need a bowl or cup of regular tap water, and we might need a straw. It's not necessary, but sometimes it comes in handy. A couple paint brushes in varying stiffness as far as the bristle goes. And we'll need a sharp knife. Okay, this is a paring knife. We'll need some wood tools, which you can buy in a package, usually from art stores and craft stores. And maybe a butter knife will come in handy. We also might need a plastic bag, okay? And sometimes when you buy your tools, these tools, a wire will come inside of it. Wire is used for slicing clay, and but if there's not one, you can use a guitar string. I use guitar strings all the time, and we'll be using one today. So any kind of wire or even a string would work for that. We are artists, we need to be creative, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do here is go ahead and start the face of the little figure head or figure face that we're going to make. This will be a relief. I'll sculpt it on the board. It'll be flat on the back. But if you want, you can make a little stand for it to stand up freestanding if you wanted to. Okay? I have not made this particular design before, so I will be making it all new today, creating it as I go, also as artists do. And I want to start off with a piece of clay like this. So what you would do is you would tear off a piece of clay from the lump of clay that you've got, about the size that you want the main part of the head to be. You can squeeze it into the position that you want it to be as far as the shape goes, like this, and then squeeze it to a slight oval shape so that the lower part is a little bit thinner or not as wide as the upper part. And then just press it onto the board like this. Okay? Now, one thing I always tell my students, it's my disclaimer, I have a camera between my eye and you. Okay, or excuse me, between my eye and the subject. And for that reason, it cuts into the energy and makes it difficult for me to be able to get the energy necessary to make a piece that is pristine and beautiful. But if you want to see some of my other finished works, the best thing to do is to go onto my website, jacobfolger.com, and you can see plenty of finished works there. Okay, now I want to make an indentation for his eyes right there by just pressing my thumbs in like that. Okay, then I want to pull out his nose. Okay, like that. And this is sculpting by pushing and prodding, and it's fairly effective. Okay. Now I'm going to create a upper lip. So what I do basically is I form a noodle in my hand, an oblong shape like this. I place it below his nose, and I blend it in with my thumbs like that. And you're just going to have to practice with this. It takes a little bit of time getting used to. Okay. And then his lower lip is another smaller noodle, like that. Okay. And then blend the lower lip into the top. And into beneath there like that. Okay. Now I'm going to put a beard on this guy, and I often recommend putting beards on pieces that you're not familiar with if you're not familiar with them, because it's a new piece, right? Something you've never done before. It might be difficult to do. So what I'll do is I'll put a piece of clay on there to be his beard, and his mustache can be a ball. You roll a ball like this way here, like this, and put it over top. Like that. And you can see it's already coming together pretty nicely here. Okay, if you've noticed that we have not used a single tool on his face yet, and you can see how far we got. So the point is that you are a sculptor, and that your hands and are the accoutrements in which you can sculpt and make figures and just about anything. We will start to use tools a little bit, but only after a certain point. Now we're going to make his eyes, okay? And the way I do that is I roll a little ball like this. Just roll it like that. And you can roll a ball with a band-aid on. How about that? At least I can. Okay, so I'm going to put his eyeball in there. I'm going to get another piece of clay for his other eyeball. Okay. And we go like that. Alright, now I want you to think for a moment, okay? I want you to think about your eyelid, and if you want to go over and take a look at it in the mirror. And I want you to take a piece of clay, and form that eyelid, his eyelid, to be similar to your eyelid. Okay, so basically you would roll a ball, then a oblong shape like that, and then squeeze it slightly like that so it's almost flat, and then put it up above his eye like this. And what do you got? You got an eyelid, do you? Okay, we make another one. You get a little bit of practice on this, because the nice thing about this is that there's two of everything here. So we roll a ball, don't want it to be too big, and roll a noodle, and press it flat. That's his other eyelid. Wow, I am actually impressed in myself. I think this guy might be a keeper. Might be a keeper. Okay, now we're still moving along here. He's got his eyelids on. I don't do a lot with the lower eyes. My eyes are a little bit stylized, but this is basically how I do them. And then we're gonna roll another noodle, and we're gonna basically put it on here. Actually, you know what? We're missing a part. for faces, sometimes it depends on what kind of eyes I'm doing. But basically, we want to have this little portion here. It's a little fatty portion of the eye, above the eyelid. And we'll do another one, a little ball. So it's basically a little flat ball. Right there. Okay. And now we're going to create another noodle like this, and this will be the upper part of the eyebrow. So it's a longer one here. That's the eyebrow there. Still, no tools. Isn't that wonderful? No tools at all. If you make it too long, you can snip it at the end. I'll show you how to do that. So bring it back and around like that. And that one's a little bit too long, you just snip it off, just pinch it off. So this guy looks like a king, or maybe a wizard. Could be a wizard. And we'll take a break for a moment. This could be a wizard or a king. Okay, so now we've got his eyes almost together there. We want to make the bridge of his nose a little bit more thin. And you can add more nose to it. Maybe to give it a little bit more length by adding a ball there in front of his, on top there, to the point of his nose. And you also can add balls on either side of his nose for his nostrils, even though you may not be able to see them because of his beard or because of his mustache. I'm just blending a little bit. And now it's about time to bring in a tool. And my favorite tool, I use it all the time. Many of you, if you've seen my videos, you've seen this tool a lot. I've been using this very tool for many years. It lasts forever if you take good care of them, and that basically means don't kick them around and don't try to break them. Don't use them as a nail. I mean, it's wood, right? So I just put a division in here for his mustache. You can look at things and visualize them. Just say, oh, let's see, well, I would make this shape to make that little shape. And you're building it up, and that's what you're doing. You're sculpting and building it up to come up with the shape that you want. There's a lot of ways to do the hair. I mean, you could draw lines in it like that to make the beard, or to make the mustache hairs. And then you could use water and a brush to paintbrush, water, and just smooth it down like that. And then same thing with the beard. By putting the lips on first, even though we mostly covered them with the beard, it brings the beard and hair out, and the mustache out, to give it more depth and proportion. And the eyelids, the eyebrows can now be textured with a hair-like texture. You could add pupils into the eyes by taking the back part of a small paintbrush that isn't broken. All mine are broken, unfortunately, but I'm gonna wing it with this thing here. But basically, you just put an indentation in there for the pupil. The back of a paintbrush would work better. And to make this a smaller or bigger piece, you would just change the dimensions of each piece that you had. This is a small one. For those that don't have a big budget for a lot of clay, and if you had a larger budget and you had more clay and you could spare it, you could make yourself a bigger one. Okay. You might want to add a little bit of a wrinkle here in his forehead. Okay. And you could add a hat of some form, maybe some kind of wizard hat. He looks like a wizard to me. So you would just do that type of thing. You can do that. You can get creative, come up with your own ideas. Like that. You could add cheekbones to make them a little bit face a little bit more heavy, or higher cheekbones there. And this is all build up, and it's simple shapes, and it's sculpting. We did a little bit of carving for the hair. And there you go. Now let's say we want to remove him from the board. How would we do that? With the wire. We'll do that with the wire. So we have the wire here, and we just hold it up against the board with our thumbs or with our fingers. Like, you can go like this, or you can go like this, and press down on either side. And you can do this on a big piece or a little piece. It's entirely up to you. You draw it all the way down to the end until it comes loose. That cuts it off clean. If you want to strengthen up the piece, if you want to make the piece a little bit more strong, you can blend this in the back so it's not likely to break off. And smooth it down. If you wanted to hang it on the wall, you could take the back of a paintbrush and you could put a hole in the back to hang it on a nail. If you put it at a slight upward angle, downward angle like that, it would hang better and not likely to fall off if a train goes by or something like that.